What's up, guys? So, this is a video of my own, but it sucks ruminating about the future all the time. Especially like my situation, for example. I'm homeless and um, worrying about making the wrong decision, and I don't want to regret it, obviously. And I just hope things get better from here on out. But when you're like ruminating about the future all the time, it just makes you anxious. Like your heart fucking beats like that, and you have racing thoughts, like back and forth like this, and you just feel uneasy at times. It's just even worse when you're in a really bad predicament in life. Like if you're not in a bad predicament, but you're worrying about the future, it may be easier to brush off. Who knows, right? Everyone's different, but it sucks ruminating about the future all the time. It can spiral constantly. It can loop in your head like it's like the solar system. Like how the Earth goes around the sun. It's like it's like that in your head when you're ruminating about the future constantly. It sucks. Like last night, I was feeling this way. Like I was feeling okay uh, for the most part yesterday, but then at nighttime I just get like this. I ruminating about the future all the time, just worrying about where I'm gonna be heading, and it can get to the point where I have to I like smoke a cigarette, because it's very annoying to deal with, and I wanted to stop, but obviously smoking a cigarette isn't gonna help that much. It can make it worse possibly. But it just sucks about just ruminating about this. Like I ruminate about like the jobs I can possibly work at and these coworkers, and you just hope that you can keep the job and you're able to pay the bills and pay the rent on time, for example. Because throughout my history, like I talked about this on my old channel, like I couldn't even keep a job. Um I worked at jobs, I got fired. I worked at jobs, I quit. And that's all basically was. Like I just couldn't keep a job at all. And that work history makes me worry about the future, because if I work a job like that can happen. It sucks. I mean, I'm expecting to witness toxic coworkers, but you just hope that these toxic coworkers aren't uh like severe. They aren't super toxic, right? You could just tolerate it. It just sucks about ruminating about the future constantly. Like I always felt like this since I was a kid. I would ruminate about the future all the time, and sometimes it would be because I would compare myself to others too, and that isn't a good thing at all. To compare yourself to others constantly. It'll make you feel worse, and if you see people out there uh, achieving their goals, right, and you feel left out and stuff, it'll just make you feel like shit. It's best to not care about that and just do your own thing, and you won't be worried about the future and try to impress others, I guess. I used to be like that when I was younger, like in high school or something. It's best to uh, be in the present moment, but it's very hard, to be honest. Especially like what I said before, you're in a really bad situation. You are in a bad predicament right now, where it's hard to think better and not have stress in your head, basically. Yeah, sometimes I'll like dissociate a lot when I'm ruminating about the future too. Like I'll stare at a wall like that, and I'll like self-reflect. I'll like be very anxious about it too, and it can get uncomfortable at times. Like you're sitting in the room alone and you just stare at a wall and you're ruminating about the future all day. You know, especially like the people that you like, your parents or your friends or just people that you care about. You just hope nothing bad happens to them, right? You can be ruminating about that, right? And I guess your girlfriend or boyfriend or something that could be a problem too. Ruminating about that. I guess, like, say if people had kids, like, I guess their parents would be fucking ruminating, or then the kids would be ruminating about the parents. It's a bunch of shit, man. So, it just sucks ruminating about the future all the time. Like, what am I gonna do next? What's gonna happen to me, It's this back and forth stuff constantly. That's why I hate when people say, "Where do you want to be in the next 5, 10 years?" Like it just makes you more anxious, right? Remember, I would be at these mental hospitals, and I think a therapist would tell me that. And this therapist would tell me, like, "Where are you gonna be at 5, 10 years?" And I just would lie, and I would just act like I don't know, And but when they would say that, I would actually get anxious, and I would kind of keep perseverating that, basically. It can be persistent. It'll just come after you like that, you know? Just don't like overthinking it either. Just overthinking about the future when it doesn't have to be that way, also, you know? I guess this can come from like how you were treated at childhood. Like if you had a bad childhood, like you can have these anxious feelings, I guess, in adulthood. Hard to deal with. Especially, like I said before, I'm repeating myself, but especially for me right now, just like I'm taking these meds and I'm just out of control, Hard to deal with. And sometimes these meds just don't even work. Like if something really stresses me the fuck out, like it can like penetrate through me and I can get worse and think about the future constantly, right? So yeah, I guess it was just a ramble video. I'll catch you guys later.